Welcome, everyone. Hi,
Everybody.
hi, hi. Look, it's our friend, Mr. David. We're so excited to have him back here on the Beacon of Light podcast. And tonight is all about our favorite things, all the favorite things that are happening in our life right now. And just like Oprah, only more amplified without the free phone. This is your opportunity to see a lot of my favorite things. And one of them is sharing what my friends have. And I consider David an amazing friend, mentor, coach, support, etc., etc. So before we really get too deep into it, let's get this thing started on the right foot. And, well, I always have to punch the right button, right? Okay, maybe not that one. Maybe this one. I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now. And we're back. Look, we've got people popping in here live. Let's see who's all here. Let's roll the dice and see. Oh my goodness. Like, hey, Karen! I haven't seen you in a bit. Oh, it's so great to see you. Hey, Jan. Hi, everybody. This is awesome. So we're here because it's the Beacon of Light podcast for the next couple of nights here. And we're talking about our favorite things. And so with Black Friday and shopping and opportunities for the holidays coming up, I wanted to be very direct and give an opportunity for y'all to hear this incredible man named David share with us something that is an offer. Yes, it's going to be partly it's for everyone, especially if you're focused as an author and you already have a book or you're coming to have a book. You got to hear what he has to say. Okay, you just have to hear it. But before we jump all into that, let's just shoot the breeze a little bit. David, how are you? What's up?
I'm doing great. Hello, Joe. Yeah, I am not terribly happy that it snowed around here yesterday, but other than that, we got out of church yesterday and there was snowflakes just flying everywhere, and I was like, oh no. No, not yet. Not yet. I am not ready at all for this kind of stuff to be happening. But thankfully, it is early enough in the season that it didn't last very long, and it pretty much has melted all away. So we're grateful for that. But otherwise, I'm doing really well.
Oh, yeah, it looks like you got some differing opinions here.
I see that. I see that. Well, I loved snow when I was younger and I could play and I played in it. But now that I'm at this age in life and my main job with snow is shoveling it, my opinion has changed a little bit. I'm less excited to see it show up when I know that there's going to be a lot of shoveling involved.
That's right. That's right. Well, I guess it's going to give you that strong back to bear up everything that's upon it, right, David?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So I touched points with David, and I was just blown away by, of course, his brain, his heart, and what he's willing to do for so many of us. So share a little bit about how this whole idea came about.
Yeah, well, in the last business that I was involved in, we had a publishing company, and we published hundreds and hundreds of um, we published hundreds and hundreds of books for all sorts of authors, and it was a great thing. We were taking authors who had an idea, who were aspiring to get their message published, and we helped them publish a book. But one of the challenges and one of the frustrations that I heard from people again and again is that, yes, I got my book published, but I'm just not getting any buyers. I'm not getting people to get, purchase copies of my book. I really didn't make any money from my book. And especially, if you're relying on like Amazon to sell your book, the reality is most authors sell around 250 copies of their book over the course of their entire life, which is a small amount. And if you're making on average $2, $3, $4 a book from Amazon, depending on what your arrangement is and not what the price of your book is, that's probably less than $1,000 total that you're getting from your book, which is incredibly discouraging. Not to mention the fact that you put all this work into the book. You put your heart and soul into this message, into the story that you created, and now people aren't reading it by a very large number. And you put it together because you wanted to share this with the world. You wanted to get it out there. You wanted people to be impacted by this message. And you did all the work, you went through all the paces, you put all the time in, but it didn't usually, for the vast majority, like 99+% of people, it didn't turn into a big result or a big reward. And it really bothered me. And it was like, shoot, these people are getting these great books done, but they're not getting people to read them. They're not getting people to buy them, and they're not earning the kind of income that they really had hoped for. So I've been asked quite a few times, like, David, would you help? David, would you help? And being on the marketing side of things for a number of years, I knew what the answer was. I had seen like friends of mine who had built book funnels, and who had put their book in a book funnel rather than just throwing it up on Amazon and hoping to get lucky, hoping lightning strikes and you get lots of books sold. You put your book in a book funnel and you can package your book with other products and services. So if you have a small course, if you have some coaching that you do with your content, if you have some just small like extra author interviews or workbook pages or other things, you can add those in as extra products and services. And so when people come to buy your book through a book funnel, they are now presented with the opportunity to not just buy your book, but to also buy all these extra things. And once you learn how to do this the right way, this is all of a sudden going to change everything for you, because this is how my friends have been going out there, putting their book in a book funnel, and they're just taking control of the situation. They're not hoping to get lucky on Amazon and just hope that lightning strikes and, for whatever reason that it just happens to, the sun shines on them and everything goes, and they're getting a great result that, they're more than likely not going to get, because the numbers are just too big in terms of the volume of books produced every year. There's about 2 million books a year that get published. So it's kind of hard to get your book to stand out when there's that many new books being published all the time. So the reality is you need to approach it from a different way. You need to approach this in a way that is going to allow you to take control of the situation. It's going to allow you to package some other things with your book and start to generate traffic to this book funnels and control that, so that you can dictate how many books are being sold. And all the customers don't just go to Amazon to buy, but they're coming to you. And you can then have those people on your email list. You can have those people, so that you can follow up with them. You can offer them additional products and services. You can do things with them that, are going to allow them to, they're going to allow them to buy additional products and services from you. And this is how all of a sudden you can go from an author that sold a couple hundred books to an author that sold thousands of books. And you can go from an author who only made less than $1,000 to an author that possibly has made hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like I said, I have friends that, have sold tens and tens and tens of thousands of books through their book funnel. It didn't get them on the bestseller lists, but it did generate, for some of them, 7 figures of income, which is amazing. So even if you could get a smaller result than that, you could generate a nice income by selling your book through a book funnel, because it's packaged with other things. And now instead of getting $2, $3, $4 for a book sale, you're getting $20, $30, $40 total, because people are buying extra courses, they're buying extra products along with it as they go through the funnel. And now all of a sudden you have all this extra revenue coming in, and now you're getting paid. Now you're getting paid for all the work that you did. And Once you start doing that, you can start just sending traffic to this thing, and you can be more in control with the number of people that are buying your book instead of just letting it sit there on the side and hoping that someone else will promote it for you. So
That
that's really
reminds
why
me
it.
that reminds me of please buy my book,
Yes,
please.
yes,
Please, please,
yes.
want a flower, mister? Like,
Yes, that's
it's
unfortunately where too
so
many authors find themselves, yes.
yeah, it's like the modern day Dickens
Mhm.
Christmas Carol. Like it's awful. Like
Yes.
it's really hard. And so looking back and hearing you say some of these numbers, going from $2 to $4, maybe up to $10, $20, maybe even $40
Mhm.
a quote book sell. So I'm sure there's a special formula and a way to do that. But I think the first hesitation, and I'll say it here as both hands up as this author. First of all, I don't want to be too salesy.
Mhm.
Second of all, I only have a few other things that I can offer. And okay, what's the real gig? Like I hear these things. My question it always has been the how. How do I connect that technology? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear all this. Yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah, I get it. But I don't get how to connect. Oh, look, hey, that linked work. Oh, look, here over here. Oh, hey. So you're telling me that like all this can be in one place and
Mhm.
it can connect together? Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying, David?
you want me to show you how a book funnel works? You want me to kind of walk through that process and share that? All right.
Do you guys want to see it? Who wants to see it out there? Karen, Cheryl, Jan, Lori, Jill. Looks like we got a lot of people here. I think, yeah, yep. Okay, so Jan would like to, yeah, let's see what this process is all about.
Okay, let me pull this up here a second. I'll get a let me can you see my screen?
Not yet. Let me make sure that oh, yes, I can.
Okay.
When I do that, there we go.
Okay.
See?
All right, very good. Well, I always like to confirm before I get rolling, and all of a sudden, halfway through, people say, "Hey, wait a minute,
Where
we
is
can't
it?
see anything." So this is really the flow of how a book funnel works. This is kind of like the gist of it. So you would, start out. The first page would be a registration page, or this is where you're talking about your book. And typically, how you do it with a book funnel is the first page is, you're going to offer your book for free plus shipping. So we're really going to make a great offer. We're going to put a bunch of stuff on there to really entice people to try and grab a copy of your book. And then they click in and they say, yes, I'm interested in doing this. So we usually do a 2-step order form so that we at the very least get their email address, and then we have them go and purchase the book. So in this example, let's say you purchased a book and your shipping charge for the book is $9.95, which usually basically if you buy your book in any kind of quantity, you can usually get your book down to $5 or so, and then the last part is for postage and mailers and that type of thing. And then what we usually offer is like what's called a bump offer. A bump offer can be the audiobook version of your book. It can be worksheets. It can be an author interview. There's lots of little things that can be created, but it's like a bump offer is like something like when you're standing out at the checkout line at the grocery store, and you're putting your stuff on the belt, and you see, oh, there's a magazine here, oh, there's a candy bar, or there's gum, or whatever. It's little extra things that they're seeing if you'll add to your order to make them be able to make a little additional profit. So this is another thing that we do, that we put this in here. It's a $27 bump to the order. And usually, if you follow the way we show you to do it, you usually get about 20% or so, or maybe even a little higher, of the people who buy your book will also say, yeah, I'll also get this extra, the audiobook, or I'll get the author interviews or the content that didn't make it into the book. And so they do that. And then they order that and they go through, and then they are taken to the first upsell page, which in a lot of ways, what we usually offer that as is like a course that's related to the book, some type of, something that you can sell relatively cheaply. And we usually say to price this between 97 to 297. So for our example, we're going to stay conservative and just say $97 for that first upsell. Then they're taken to a second upsell page where there's a higher ticket offer, and you could make this $500 to $1,000 if you really want, because you want you can now people understand really what's going on. No one's surprised anymore. So you can kind of make this what it is. And then you just have a little confirmation page that summarizes the order and everything that they did. So it's basically it's basically 4 pages because these two are actually a 2-in-1 scenario here. So in this example, just to kind of show you how it would work. So let's say you spent $1,000 on ads, and out of that, you were able to get 1,000 clicks to the book funnel. So it costs you about $1 to get a visitor to the registration page, which is definitely something you should be able to do. Unless you're in a super highly competitive marketplace, you should be able to get something along those lines to be able to get people to this registration page. And let's say 200 people at least put in their name and email in there. So that means about 20%. And that's actually a little bit on the low side, but let's say 20% of them actually put their name and email into the form on the first page. So you've now actually added 200 people to your email list through this process. And because we haven't discussed anything else yet, the cost to have those people added was $5 for each lead. So the cost per lead is $5. So you spent $1,000 on an ad. You got 200 people to opt in, and at this point, you got for $5, you got a new person added to your email list. And let's say 50 of those 1,000 visitors actually bought the book, which that's 5% of all the visitors there actually went forward and bought the book, which is kind of our sink or float line. If you are at least getting 5% of the people who come to the page to say yes and buy your book funnel is usually going to be fine. It'll usually be successful and it'll usually work. If you're getting 2 to 3%, that's where we need to look at the book, at the page, and try and make the offer a little more attractive, which means to get a person to buy your book, it costs right now at this point, it's costing you $20 cost per acquisition. So that's what it costs you to get someone to buy a book. So then after that, let's say 10 people or 20% of the people who bought the book actually bought the bump order as well. So they're adding now, so they're paying $9.95, but now they're also saying, yeah, give me that $27 one as well. The 10 out of the 50 said, yeah, I want that as well. That sounds interesting. Give me that as well. And then out of this, from this point forward, we're only going to have 50 going forward because the other group of the 9,500 here, plus are going to be dropped off at this point. So the next part is just based on the 50 who are going through the rest of the funnel. So out of that, 10% of them say, yeah, I want to get the course as well at $97. That sounds really good to me. And 5 other ones, it doesn't have to be the same 5, will then say, yeah, I'll buy the second upsell. So 10%. Again, definitely very achievable numbers. 10% sale rate on these isn't that terribly high, so you should definitely be able to do it if your offer is reasonably good. So if we look at now the revenue side of all this, we generated $497.50 for all the book orders, the 50 book orders. You got $270 for the $27, the $27 bump orders. You got $485 from the 5 $97 orders, and you got $1,485 from the second upsell, for a total revenue in the funnel of $2,737.50. So you spent $1,000 to send traffic there, and you generated, top line, bottom line, spent $1,000 in ads, you generated $2,737.50 in revenue. So if we look at this comparatively, that means for every visitor that hit the page, it cost you $1 to get them there, but the average visitor value, or the revenue that they generated for each visitor, was $2.74, which is just taking this number and dividing it by 1,000. Then if you look at, okay, it cost you $5 to get each of these people added into your email list, but they were worth $13.68 in revenue. So you're actually, in essence, you are making money to build your email list. You're getting paid to build an email list because the people that are getting added in are actually generating more revenue than it's costing you. So this is a great way to build a big email list of people who are very interested in your content, very interested in your message and everything that you do. And again, getting paid to do it in that way.
Okay,
And
hang on a second, David.
yes.
Now, hang on a second. I know the horse is out of the gate. He's going. So, which is great. I can feel myself in my signing like, hang on, I'm 3 sentences back here. Okay, so I'm going back to this book funnel. I'm taking a look at this. So I'm thinking, okay, right away, my first thought, which is part of this, my very first thought is I need to know who my audience is. I just can't throw $1,000 out there for this email because that to me is like, I guess we'll just throw it out there on an ad. I need to be really narrowed in on who I'm showing this to.
Yep.
So that these numbers can happen. Is that right?
Correct. And you don't have to start with an ad. You do not have to start with an ad. You can start by just doing some organic posting. Jim Edwards was king of doing this. He would do 2 to 3 videos a week where he would just talk about certain things related to copywriting. And then he would say, you know, here's a secret that you can learn about copywriting. If you'd like the rest of the secrets, I put them in my book. Go to copywritingsecrets.com and get yourself a free copy of the book. And he sold bunches of books that way. Didn't cost him anything to
so did you hear
ad.
that? Did you hear that, authors? Look at that. So his own videos going out there, he's building relationships, he's building up his audience, people are knowing what he's going to say. How many of you can do that out there? I want to see.
Absolutely.
Karen, Cheryl, Heidi, I want to see, do you guys go live? Do you make videos? If you do that right now and you have a good connection with your audience, look, you could probably already get them to go to this part of the book.
Correct.
So I want you to see and think who's always there, who's always showing up. What do I need to do to get people to show up? Maybe I need to take a month of planning to make these videos, get people excited, bring them in, get my action going on again, get people just amplified again about what this message is. Who's hurting out there? I have something that I can help and solve. So you're given all that stuff right there, information-wise, up to a point, because the rest of it's going to be, like you said, in the book. They go over there to the book funnel and share from there.
Correct. So yeah, there's lots of different ways of doing it. Just in this example, we showed what it would be like if you did an ad, because when you do it this way, it's incredibly scalable. Once you get it to work with this, because then you can run another $1,000 of ads, and again and again and again. So this is where it really starts to take off. So the way that we're going to do this, and then I'm almost done, and we can kind of recap April and all this. So the way that all this is, because you have 50 total buyers, that means if you take this 2737 in revenue and divide it by 50, that means on average, the average cart value of every single buyer that went through this funnel was $54.75. The cost that you spent to acquire a customer was 20. So we're in good shape here, because the revenue numbers are all a lot bigger than the cost numbers. So if we look at it after ad spend, if you take your $54.75 in revenue and you subtract out the cost of ads, that would leave you at this point a profit of $34.75. But as you know, we also have to pay for the book, and we have to pay for postage to ship it out. But if you're doing a reasonably good job of that and getting your book at a reasonable cost, because as an author, you can buy in, you don't have to buy in big numbers, but you can buy in some smaller quantities and get the book cost down some. If you do $5 for the book and, a few dollars for postage and handling, maybe $1 for the mailer, you should be able to get this thing shipped for around 10, and buy the book and ship it for around $10, which means that for every book that you quote unquote gave away for free plus shipping and handling through this book funnel, you generated a profit of $24.75. So think about it this way. If you were able to do this and able to start running through this, and this is even in subtracting the costs out, $20 per customer for paid ads. If you did this organically, like April was saying, going out and posting, then that $20 per customer expense is not there. It's not in the equation. So you would actually be making, $44 per person that goes through. So there's great ways to do this. There's absolutely, great opportunity here for you to make this work. And again, once you get it rolling, then what do? Like once you get this all rolling, then you can just keep sending more and more traffic. And as you're making money, you can run ads and send people through it, and you can scale. And this is exactly how people like Jim Edwards and all these other individuals who are killing it with their book funnels, who are selling 40, 50, 60,000 copies of the book. This is how they do it. They're not doing it through Amazon. They're not doing it through other book retailers. They don't even care. They don't even care about those at all, because they're like, yeah, if someone buys it on Amazon, great. But that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get them to come through my book funnel, because the book funnel is where I can control the process and I can actually generate a whole lot more income. And I know Jim's numbers that he gets, that he's generating, are a lot higher than what I'm showing you here. I'm grossly underestimating the amount of revenue and income that he's generating from his. But I want to make this a conservative estimate for you. So, but what I really want to do is I want this to be an eye opener for you. I want you to understand what's possible. I want you to understand there is a path forward for you. There is the ability to get more readers of your book, of not just to let the book sit in the garage on the shelf, but to go out and get that book out into the hands of people that you want to read it, to get income generator from your book. It is possible, but you have to think differently than just throw it on Amazon and hope to get lucky.
Right. So true. And so the book funnel, the whole concept. So now we can see kind of that overall big picture.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there's parts of it where you've got to write copy, right? You got to get a hook. You got to get people excited about that. What if I'm not really good at that? What do I need to go get? Another system? Like, what do I need to do?
Well, I took care of all that, because I know how this works. I've worked with authors now for the past decade plus, and I know very well how this works. You're really good at writing your stories. You're really good at writing your books, but a lot of times you hate writing sales copy or marketing copy, or you don't know how to do a sales video, or you don't know how to do the pages. So what I did was I went out and I studied the best funnels that I knew were just doing outstanding. I went out and found the best book funnels that I knew out in the world, and I studied them to the very, very detailed level, and took notes on every last thing that they did. And what I created was templates for everything. So I created 5 templates for everything in the program, to make it so that it's very easy for people to follow along. So there's templates for all the pages. And the first thing is the first mistake, because I see some people doing book funnels and they say, well, it didn't really work for me. And then I look at their book funnel and I go, I can see why. You're missing pieces. You don't have all the pieces in place. You skip parts and you don't have certain things in here. And that's why people aren't getting motivated to buy. They're not seeing the value, because you didn't check all the boxes that you needed to get someone excited about buying. You missed too many pieces. So what I did was I created page templates so that everything that needs to be on your page, step by step. You just need to follow the directions. You say, okay, I need a headline here. I need a picture here. And this is what the picture needs to be of. Oh, and then there needs to be a little section here. And then as far as the copy goes, what I did was I went through and created templates off of all of those book funnels that I know are just, some of them have sold like hundreds of thousands of books. I just being honest with you, some of these book funnels have literally sold couple 100,000 books. Just to give you an idea just how big this can really get. You don't have to go that big, obviously, but it is possible. So I took templates and I wrote out and instructions for exactly what to say in each section of the page. So you don't, so it tells you, and I wrote it all out. I said, in this section, write your headline. The headline should be like this. And this is an example of the type of thing that you should say. And so then you just literally go down the template and you insert your content. So all you have to do is follow the instructions. The instructions on exactly how to write the copy are all laid out for you all the way down the page. The pages, you have pages laid out for you all the way down the page. You pick the template that works best for you. The one that you like the best, change the colors, change the fonts to make it match your book and your brand. Follow the instructions. You just go down and I tell you exactly the type of thing to write in every single section of it, and just fill in the blank and put your images in, put your copy in. And then as well, like a lot of people don't understand how powerful videos can really be to have a sales video, because a lot of times when people hear your heart about your book, they hear your passion about your message, it can make all the difference in the world, but a lot of people don't know what to say on the video. So I did the same thing for all the videos. I created step-by-step scripts that it tells you exactly what to say first, like the second, third, fourth, and so all the way down to the end of the video. All you got to do is fill in the blank and put your story into it. Put your name, your book title, all that into it. It tells you exactly what to write on every single step of the way. So it's all laid out for you. All you have to do is follow the instructions, fill in the blank, put your copy, your images, and so forth on the funnel, and you have it built the way it should be built. And this is really the mission that I was on, because I knew that book funnels were the key for authors being able to make an income from the book, make an income that actually matters and that's actually going to move the needle. But too many authors didn't know the right way to build a book funnel. So I made this as about as bulletproof as I could. I put this thing all in templates. So all you have to do is follow the instructions, go step by step, answer the questions as it goes through, put your story in, put your copy in, put your content in all the pieces, add your images and so forth. And you should be ready to rock and roll. It should be all ready to go for you. So I'm trying to ease the process as much as humanly possible, so that authors who are great at writing books can get a really good book funnel put together that otherwise may not have been possible for them. And so that you can get because I know so many of you have messages that are so important that could change someone's life, that could really impact somebody and make a huge difference in their life. But it won't happen if they don't ever get their hands on the book. And you won't be able to be a full-time writer or do this for a living if you don't make enough income from your writing, if you're not getting paid sufficiently to make it work. So I did everything I could to try and make this as simple of a process as possible. I really, really want this to just be a follow the instructions, do exactly as I've laid it out for you. And if you do that and you just go through exactly how I've done it and laid it out, you should be in great shape. You should absolutely be in super, super shape and have a funnel that's ready to just kill it.
Awesome. Amazing. So we have a question, and this is a very, very good question. So Cheryl Critchbaum asks this. So it says, this looks great for how-to books. But that's not what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I've written memoirs. How does this help with memoirs? David, any thoughts about selling devotionals?
Yes, you can always create related products around any book. So you want to think about, like, if you're doing a memoir, maybe there was additional information that didn't make it into the book. Maybe there was additional resources, additional types of things that can be tied into it, and think about it this way. A lot of times, even fiction books can be used for a book funnel. Now, how you do that is, here's something that can happen. Whether you're doing a memoir, you're doing a book on a fictional story. If you're having a story like that that's happening, there are moral lessons learned through that story. There are life lessons learned through that fictional story or through that memoir. There are things that are going to be passed on that are very powerful. What you can do is create a small course that helps them apply those teachings, apply those lessons to their life. You can create a short course that then takes these principles and says, okay, you read about it in the story, you read about it in the memoir. Now take that and learn how to apply it back to your life. Learn how to take these principles and use them to make a change in your own life. Learn how to apply it. So there can be a lot of application. There could be additional resources and different things based on the value, on all the things that people are going to learn from reading that story. Devotionals as well. There can be, you can do a devotional on something, but then you can create a video series that goes into expanding on different ideas within the devotional. So if you have like devotional, lesson 1 talks about this topic, well, then you do a 20-minute teaching on that. And it's a video course that accompanies that. So any of us who've been in Bible studies and things like that, we go through a study guide and we many times have a video that we watch with it that teaches extra concepts, extra things that go with that lesson, and you can create additional content that way. So it's really a matter of being creative, of thinking beyond the pages of your book and realizing that the value of the content that you've created, there's a lot more there than just what you wrote on the pages. There's a lot more to it, but you kind of have to get yourself out of that box. You have to be able to think a little bit creatively and to be able to think a little bit beyond, how else could I create value out of this? How can I impact someone's life by doing that type of thing? And you can even do, children's books. I would even challenge people, you can do this with a children's book. You have that, you can have extra things, extra resources that go along with the children's book, life lessons, worksheets, a course on, like, maybe it's a course for the parent on how to apply the lessons learned in the children's book and help your child work through those lessons as they're growing up. There's a multitude of ways that you could do it. You just got to be willing to think outside the norm. You got to be willing to be a little creative and just say, hey, how else can I create something from this concept and content to add more value, create something even more valuable than just what I've written in the book to this point.
That's really true. I was challenged with something like that. Oh, let's see. Who challenged me? Oh, his name is David. David challenged me.
Did I ever challenge you?
Yes. Yeah, just a few times, maybe 52 times every Monday. Anyway, yeah. So I got this really great challenge from David saying, okay, I know your story. I've heard the story. I get some of these pieces of it, but there's a part that I don't understand because I don't have the perspective. What could you do to help me understand the perspective? That's all that I needed. And then what I figured out was, what's the top thing I keep saying in my memoir? What is it? What is it? Go back through it, right? When you're in the forest, you can't see the trees, the whole thing, right? Yep. So when I pulled out and I was like, okay, these are David's eyes. He's coming into this world, with pinpoints of light, with the abuse that's happening. And I knew right away I needed to tell supporters, guess what? This part of being a supporter and helping somebody to escape is huge. It was the huge part, because I was thinking of like, well, I'm not a therapist and I don't know how to help do this other, and I was panicked because I was trying to get to that result. That wasn't what the book was about. It was this whole strategy of how I got out. What was the plan? Who were my supporters? And I was like, oh. So I made this little bump course. Didn't call it a bump course at the time, but now I can because I see it right there. Like, hey, this is it. So I put this added bonus on it now with the audiobook, and I'm like, look at that. And now there's more ways of going beyond because now there are more questions being asked. So in because one thing led to another, which opened up more things. Then I started to ask my audience, what do you need? What is it that you can't get that you need? And boy, did they ever give me information. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
thank you very much. So I started writing that stuff down. Now I can add to my current book funnel, which is sad. Now we're going to fix it all up, right, David? We're going to fix this thing. And
Mhm.
I can add another piece to it. And then eventually another and another, that kind of idea. So, Cheryl, I love how you said, you've got me thinking. So that's really what this whole night was about, is just this idea of, you guys have many things. It just might be over here, over here, over here, over here. The book funnel takes those things, get them organized through his templates to know, oh, there you go.
Mhm.
Because isn't it, to make any kind of a habit, if you can make it easy for the person,
Right.
one thing just leads to the next, and you don't have to go over here and over here and over here and over here, and then you're lost and you forget the
Right.
whole deal. That's what really can be different, right? So let's see. There's a few other questions here. It said, "Is this a book you've written or course or what?" Because she missed the beginning part.
Yeah, what I created was a course. You know, just I started doing this as a service to people because people kept coming to me and saying, "Hey, could you build a book funnel for me? Could you build a book funnel for me?" And I was doing it, but it got kind of expensive because there's a lot of hours involved in doing it for people. So I stopped and said, you know, it's too much for the average author to be able to afford to hire me to actually build the funnel for them, because it was just it was too costly. So I thought, how can I help more authors? How can I reach more people? And I turned it into a course. And there's a link that I believe April is sharing, which leads to in the link below. There you go. April's pointing down, so I'm trusting that she's got it down there.
Yes, I got it.
But there's a training that it's going to take you to a free training that I did that breaks it all down in even more detail than what we did here, because I didn't want to go on super long tonight. I wanted you to get the vision and understand it all, but watch the training. Go click on the link that April put in the, I believe, in the comments below, and just watch the free training, and I will break down everything that's in there and you'll be able to see it. And yeah, it is a course. I did it as a course. So, and with all the templates in there, all the processes, everything is laid out for you. The instructions are all right there. So you just have to kind of follow along and go through the process. There's all sorts of training videos and step-by-step guides all throughout it. So
Awesome. Thank you, David, so much. This was one of my favorite things of the Beacon of Light tonight. And I wanted you as authors to see the opportunity, to think about it, to look through it, listen to the free webinar.
mhm.
And yes, this is for that opportunity for you, thinking about the new year. What do you want to see? What are your goals going to be moving forward? Are we going to continue to do what you've been doing, and how has that been working out for you? Probably not so great, right? So there has to be some kind of change happening so that you can possibly punch through to where it is you want to be. Big, small, better than you were, whatever your goal is. This is just another opportunity, another way, and which is pretty, foolproof with all of these click here, drop this here, put this here. That's a really awesome way, if you ever get stuck in the how. So thank you, David, so much. Again, these are a few of our favorite things, and I'll redrop the link down here when I shut this off. So don't panic. I got you covered. So Karen, I'll send it out to you. Amy, let's see who else has been asking for it. Cheryl, Heidi, Lori, Jill, Terry. I'm gonna drop all these things out to you guys so that you have them, and we'll put it again back in the comments below. So thank you, everybody, for coming. And David, any last words before we say goodbye?
No, I would just close out by saying, hey, you know, the future is there for you to take. There is definitely a way for you to make a go of it as an author, to get your books out there and to make it happen. But you have to be willing to take that different path. You have to be willing to go down a path where you have more control, where you have more like you can sit there and say, yes, I'm going to take control of what's happening. And yeah, and so that I can dictate how many books get sold. I can dictate how much income I make rather than depending on everyone else for it. So the like I said, check out the training, go learn all about it right there. It'll explain it in detail. And again, the opportunity is there. 2022 could be a great year for you to get all of this going for your author career. But yeah, you need to do a process that's going to work. And again, I've seen so many authors do it on their own, and it didn't work well for them because they were kind of guessing their way through everything. And I'm like, if you just had followed the process and the plan, it would work. And so that's what I really put together for you. So go check it out. And I wish you to have a great 2022. I hope it's a great year for you and that you have incredible success with your book and with your message.
Wonderful. Thanks, David. We'll see y'all. Bye, everybody.
Bye.